In this programme, we find out how the Arrows Formula One race car functions as a 300km/h billboard.
Each race is televised to 355 million people in nearly 200 countries. The branding on the car is just the tip of the iceberg.
And gearing up for the new season, we visit Arrows' new engine supplier in France and discover the high hopes for the ex-Peugeot Formula One engine division that is now owned by AMT Asiatech.
Already in the work we're doing behind the scenes with Peugeot and AMT, that already we can see that there's a whole host of advantages we can get by much closer collaboration.
Arrows have arrived in Japan from the United States Grand Prix, having demonstrated amazing straight-line speed that had them running alongside the top teams. Jos Verstappen charged from his 13th position on the grid into 4th place. And Pedro de la Rosa fought bravely with David Coulthard in the McLaren, who was attempting to climb his way back up through the field after a penalty stop.
We felt that we could have come at least 5th, probably 4th. We think we'd have been fighting with Villeneuve for 4th place at the end. So, I mean, I think Jos went off the road. He had a problem with his brakes, and Pedro was mechanical problems. But once again, it seems to be the story of the year for us. We had a quick car and didn't deliver at the end. So disappointed.
In the championship, Arrows now have 7 points, putting them ahead of Sauber, Jaguar, Minardi and Prost. The Suzuka track in Japan is the only figure-of-8 circuit on the Grand Prix calendar. It's quick, with an average speed for a 5.7km lap of over 210km/h.
Very interesting circuit. I think most drivers enjoy it.
Very technically challenging circuit. Quite narrow. It's difficult to overtake.
A very slow hairpin, very slow chicane, a very fast corner at 130R.
From the downhill start, cars hit the first corner at 300km/h, dropping to 150 for the tighter exit. Then the S-curve, a combination of corners that punishes any car not well balanced. Through Dunlop, Dana is taken in 4th at 190km/h. And into top gear under the bridge. Cars slow to 70 for the hairpin and accelerate to 270 approaching Spoon Curve, taken in 3rd. Full on the throttle, drivers reach 280km/h over the crossover, slowing for 130R and then again to 60km/h for Casio chicane and last corner. Then it's full throttle for the start-finish straight.
Setup for the car is a fairly general setup. There's a reasonable amount of downforce needed for the circuit.
High degradation, tyre degradation, therefore more than one stop, so it will suit us in that respect.
Bridgestone are bringing a new tyre, which should see car performance improve quite a bit. So I would expect we'll probably see the lap record broken.
The Suzuka circuit sits inside a theme park close to the city of Nagoya. People come here seeking thrills, but this weekend, race weekend, it's for 22 Formula One drivers going on a hair-raising ride. Friday, practice day, and Arrows are getting down to work. It's a circuit that driver Pedro de la Rosa knows well.
I've done lots of races here in Formula 3, in GT and Formula 3000, so I know the place better than my home circuit, which is Barcelona, really. It's a very long circuit. A lot of corners are blind. You don't see the apex, so you have to turn in on a blind area, and also they are very fast, and there's only 2 slow corners. All the rest are medium high-speed corners, which makes it very difficult. Just to give you a little bit more grip.
Pedro's race engineer Graham Taylor has some concerns about the circuit too.
It's a very challenging circuit for a driver to drive and an engineer to set a car up for it. There's a lot of different corners. You have to have a car where the front end is very reactive, and we probably don't have that as much as some other people do. We tend to have a lot more understeer than other cars, and it's coping with that understeer, which will be the problem for the drivers this weekend.
This weekend, Bridgestone have made a new tyre available to the teams, one that gives less understeer.
It's an old compound, but it's the first time it's been made available to us this year. A little bit more grip, a little bit more stability, so the tyre doesn't degrade as much, keeps its performance for longer.
For both Jos and Pedro, Friday's practice goes well.
Basically, the car was good. We put new tires, and I got a clean lap. So I wouldn't be too happy about my time today, because today is only Friday. The important thing, as always, is qualifying, where everyone has the same tire, same fuel, and that's what we have to work with towards. Because I think we still have to improve a lot if we want to be quick tomorrow.
Formula One racing offers companies unique global exposure for their brand name. In fact, it's the third most watched television sport behind the Olympics and the World Cup.
I think within F1, branding plays a massive part in what we do and what we're about, because it's such a visual formula. Media are everywhere. We spend most of our time peering into lenses, not always looking at us, but looking at our drivers, or our cars, or our pit, or at our team bosses, or whatever. Each race is televised to 355 million people in nearly 200 countries. So in that respect, your brand on the side of a racing car, albeit a fast-moving racing car, does become very cost-effective in TV exposure terms, particularly when you bear in mind that the branding on the car is just the tip of the iceberg.
It's not only the cars, but clothing, caps, pit lane signage and the transporters all carry the Arrows sponsors' logos. Virtually any space has a potential to become an advert for a sponsor's brand name.
I would say graphic identity and graphic communication is incredibly important, and that goes right down through to the car livery as well.
Giles Pouliston heads up Arrow's specialised in-house graphic production department.
Branding a Formula One car is very, very unique. It's not like putting a logo onto a billboard poster which is going to be seen while people are driving at maybe 60, 70 miles an hour. It's more a case of the fact that people are stationary and the car is moving at up to 250 miles an hour.
And it's down to Giles to develop a branding package based on the sponsor's financial commitment.
They will come to me and we will do a visual design for everything to do with the car livery, how their logo will appear on the car, on the driver's suits, the fire suits, the pit shirts, the pit cladding, the trucks, the motorhome. So we can go to them with a whole package of a proposal, depending on the level of their sponsorship. We will manufacture the graphics, apply them, and then look at it in real life and then decide any changes that need to be made. The car, as it is when it goes to the first race, will very rarely be the same for the second race, the third race, because it's a continual process where you move things around and you change the branding. The materials we use are designed to last on maybe lorries or trucks or general sign-writing vans, and they're designed to last for between 5 and 10 years. However, due to the nature of Formula One, we tend to find that the graphics that we apply to the car are usually on there for a week, maybe even less than that in certain circumstances. Each time the car comes back to factory, it's generally stripped down and, if necessary, repainted or touched up, but we'll refresh all the graphics to make sure there's no stone chips and make sure that the graphics are nice and clean.
It's not just a question of sticking a sticker on a car. It's much more integrated than that.
Branding is increasingly becoming a sophisticated art, where the placement of a company's brand name is dependent on how effectively it can be seen by a television camera. Some of the prime advertising spots are the engine cover and side pods, which are highly visible on the screen, while the back of the rear wing can only be seen at certain angles. But the look of the Arrows car has been well received.
It's been apparent this year where photographers have used our car when they've had to submit a general picture of F1. They've used often the orange arrows to demonstrate F1 because it is an attractive car.
Making sure the race team are supplied with everything they need for the Arrows cars is Jeff Simmons.
I'm the race team spares coordinator, and the job is to look after all the spares for all the cars across the team. My route to this was probably not as the same as anybody else's in the industry. Very lucky, very fortunate. I was a computer engineer, part-time job working in a pub, which just happened to be used by a lot of people in Formula One. And one day, two of them walked into the pub and said, there's a job going at Arrows, I don't know if you'd be interested. We think you can do it. We'd like you to come in for a chat. You go home, you think about it and think, job in Formula One, I'm really not going to turn that down, am I? You know that your responsibility is the mechanics first, and you try not to wander away from the truck in a race weekend too much. There are the busy times of the weekend, just before qualifying, just before or at the end of qualifying, when everybody's getting the car ready for Sunday, that you know they're the times that you don't go for something to eat, or you don't wander down the pit lane, or you don't do this, because they're going to come in asking for bits. And the important thing is to be in the truck when they want something. It could be anything. It might not necessarily be a car part. I mean, it could be going to get the hand baggage from the airport. There's somebody that's been flown in with bits that you need. Just generally, I'd personally try and be there for the whole team, and if they want anything doing, time them alone, and I'll do it. The thing I like about Arrows and what people say is we're the friendly team. We're the team that people can come in the garage, they're not going to get thrown out. They're not going to have barriers at the front, people can see us. And as long as that's the case, then that's the team that I want to be part of. A team that's more open. And as long as we stay like that, I'll be happy. My aspiration would be to win a race and finish midfield. Midfield to the top. At the top, you might again lose the friendliness that we have. But it would be nice to be in there every other week, just giving them a little nudge and a reminder that we're here. So that would be the best. But a rostrum maybe, just to get on the rostrum, just be able to go down the end of the pit lane and salute your driver. That would be nice.
It's Saturday, qualifying day at the Japanese Grand Prix. Following yesterday's practice session, the Arrows team have learned much about the circuit.
It's a bit of an in-between one, really. It's reasonably high downforce. Traditionally this year we haven't done particularly well at this level of downforce.
Arrows know that increasing downforce will reduce the car's competitiveness, a top 10 qualifying place being a significant achievement. In qualifying, the moment a driver decides to go out in the 1-hour session is as important as how quick he drives. Today, Arrows play a waiting game.
The track here tends to improve through the session. As more and more cars run, the track gets cleaned up, more rubber goes down, so the track picks up a little bit of grip. So obviously the later you run, hopefully the faster.
It's Jos who opts to go first. Pedro, watching the clock, follows shortly afterwards. It's an encouraging start for Jos. He's happy with the car setup, but requests a change of tyres.
The car didn't feel too bad, so I think put a new set on and we go again.
Pedro's happy too, but a little concerned about his car's anti-stall device. It doesn't seem to be operating correctly.
Main problem is the anti-stall came when I was coming out of the pit, second gear. I recovered that, then the red light was flashing.
The mechanics take a closer look at the hydraulics on Jos's car. Air has got into the system, and so first mechanic Greg Baker has to remove it. With just over 20 minutes of the session left, both drivers go out again.
Sector 2 and 3.
Jos finishes his session with a 14th place on the grid.
Good drive. A little bit of luck.
Pedro finishes his session on foot. He's had a hydraulic problem as well, but he's ahead of Jos in 13th place.
I think it was a quite good qualifying session because we improved the car every time we went out, so and that's good.
Are they bringing it back?
Yeah, I hope so.
Oh, you just deserted.
Left it.
Yeah, good job. Yeah. We haven't had any problems the whole weekend. Come to qualifying where you need, but it's really have to set the time for the race, and then you have some problems. So it's not good.
Eager to improve reliability, the team will be working on the cars long into the night. After one season with the Supertech engines, it's been all change for Arrows. For the new season, they've welcomed on board Asian Motor Technologies, or AMT, who have taken over the Formula One division of Peugeot as their engine supplier. It's a deal that fills Arrows team boss Tom Walkinshaw with optimism.
I think we've had good service from Supertech, but I think already in the work we're doing behind the scenes with Peugeot and AMT, that already we can see that there's a whole host of advantages we can get by much closer collaboration.
They've won in world sports cars, they've won in rallying, they've won in the 2-litre touring car series. I mean, they haven't really failed at anything.
AMT will bring us the new generation engine, fundamentally designed on our car.
Now that AMT have bought out the Peugeot Formula One division, the consortium faces a huge challenge: success in the toughest arena of motorsport. In their factory near Paris, the designers realise the commitment they have to make. Producing the engines will cost them in the region of $20 million a year.
Usually we use 2 engines on Friday. We're supposed to change the engine on Saturday for the qualification application. And we change also the engine on Sunday for the racing aspect. So in a traditional weekend of Grand Prix, we use 6 engines. To give you an idea, Formula One engines has a lifetime of about 3 or 4 hours. This is the requirement.
They are busy trying to ensure this year's engine will bring out the best in the Arrows car.
We have to show that we are a good race team, and I have to say that we have a very good relationship with Arrows.
Arrows have proved that they have a good chassis. Now AMT have to produce an engine that will work in harmony with it.
We have to, of course, in the development of a new engine, take care of the problems of the chassis application. So that's the reason we try to minimize the size and the weight of the engine and try to elaborate the most intelligent engine for the chassis applications. That's the reason in the last 2 or 3 years we have tried to decrease the weight and the size of the engine. We try to increase, of course, the power of the engine. That's one of our main goals. But in the second time, we have to take care of the reliability because it's a compromise between performance and reliability.
Balancing performance and reliability, AMT have gone for materials that are light yet durable.
We try to have some materials with very good qualities. Very strong material, but with less weight as possible. It's why we use titanium or magnesium.
And these days, computer simulation, rather than practical experiment, gives the designers an idea of how materials and designs will work. We are using this CFD software to be sure that in the intake box of the engine, when it is mounted on the car, every cylinder of the engine will have the same mass of mixture intake. So we use this software as a virtual experiment. Basically, it's easier, quicker, and costs less to do a lot of calculations than a lot of experimentation. We come to a solution in less time and with lower cost with this virtual simulation. Peugeot supplied engines to the Prosch team in 2000, and reliability was their biggest challenge, something this new partnership is addressing in the relationship with Arrows.
Yeah, we work very hard on that subject because we had a lack of reliability for sure on the engine, but we try to solve and fix all the reliability problems on the engine, and we work with Arrows on reliability, on test bench first, and also on track.
AMT had a chance to try out their new engine in an Arrows car at a test session in Valencia. The early signs for both teams were good.
All the functions, the comms between the engine and the chassis all worked well. The oil system worked well. It was within a day of testing. It was as if we'd been working with them and the car all year.
With the good chassis and our good engine, I think we can be very fast and be in the top 6.
It's Sunday and race day at the Japanese Grand Prix. The Arrows team are making final adjustments and track assessments in the Sunday morning warm-up. The Japanese Grand Prix is notorious for torrential rain, and it's always a concern on race day morning.
The biggest thing at the moment is seeing whether or not it rains. If it rains between now and the race, they can throw another session in, so you can do another session before the start of the race. So, and they only give you 15 minutes warning before that.
Throughout the weekend, they've noticed a substantial improvement in performance due to the new tyre they're using.
First and foremost, you have to understand the tyre and you have to get the most out of the tyre. And that's true for qualifying, it's true for the race, really. You know, you've got to understand the tyre when it's brand new, and you have to understand the tyre when it's as it wears out.
As the start of the race draws near, everyone in the Arrows team goes through their well-drilled routine to deliver the cars to the grid. The cars line up to do battle for the penultimate race of the season. Jos and Pedro are next to each other in 13th and 14th.
It's always good to be with your teammate because you push each other very hard. I think if we do the things properly, we can move ahead, especially of 3 or 4 cars. But to get in the top 6 will be very difficult.
In customary fashion, Jos moves up 4 places in the first lap, helped on his way by the new compound tyres fitted to his car. But sadly, 9 laps later, an electrical fault ends his race. Pedro goes on to finish in 12th.
Yeah, the lap before Barrichello went by you was very good, very good. Because you pulled right up on it.
Yeah.
And they were giving you blue flags, and I was really annoyed.
Not what we came here for, really, but through motor racing.
It's always frustrating when you not can finish a race. I mean, the start was very good. I overtook 5 people and 1 overtook me back. But so the start was good. Only we didn't last very long.
Next time, Pedro faces stiff competition on the track at the British Motor Show. And in the last programme of this series, we look back at the highs and lows of the Arrows season.